Hey, welcome to Good Mom Podcast. This is Danielle, aka the Bad Mom.
And this is Jennifer, aka the Good Mom.
Today, we're going to be talking about dealing with unsolicited advice, my favorite.
Which is highly ironic, we understand.
For sure. So, parenting is already hard. Nothing like the added pressure of someone swooping in and their unsolicited advice.
For sure.
Whether it's from strangers at the grocery store, well-meaning family members, or even your best friends, the judgment zone is real. I can't talk about this necessarily in my present because I seriously don't give a shit about what...
I feel like I don't get off a lot of advice.
I mean, I think that I experienced it a lot when like baby and toddler years.
Oh, for sure. Especially while you're pregnant.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
And then so I remember so vividly my aunt. I did skin to skin a lot with my first, and she with skin to skin, she rarely had clothes on. She had a diaper on, but she was mostly on me or my ex-husband at the time, and so she would always put some clothes on that baby and all this kind of stuff. But then I look at kids and I'm like, really? Maybe they could use some skin to skin.
I feel like the generation also gave the babies liquor. So like what?
I was a whiskey gum rubber.
For like teething?
Yeah.
Did it work?
Yes.
Did it?
That was how I could sleep. Now, I'm not saying I didn't put it in the bottle. I didn't do, that. Like literally just, I had one of those, the small bottle of Jack Daniels, and I just tipped it over.
Whiskey.
Yeah. I just tipped it over on my finger, and what was on my finger, I would just rub their gums. And yeah, it worked like a charm every time.
Interesting.
Yeah. People, if I didn't really share that with a lot of people.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like that advice would have got more than the
for sure. For sure. And then, well, in fact, I was actually talking to a new mom not too long ago, and she's talking about teething, and it was itching. I was really wanting to say it.
That's funny.
But then, and she said, I've heard about the whiskey and like rubbing, and she said, but my baby daddy just is not. And I was like, girl, do it. I was like, just do it. I'm telling you.
This is funny.
Okay. So, but even so, like unsolicited advice also usually comes wrapped in a nice bow of judgment.
Yeah. It's never really advice. It's like, I think you should.
Yeah. And I think that that's kind of where I've come into my life of, if I do give it, well, I ask, hey, are you venting or do you need my feedback? And I'm very choosy about the words, that I say. I'll say, well, it seems that you're having this problem. So it's not you're having this issue.
She has to choose her word carefully because I'm so passive aggressive when I'm angry and it's something I'm working on. But if she's like, it seems like, I'll be like, it seems like your mom. That's what it seems like.
So passive aggressive shade. Yeah, that was the next bullet point. Way to exercise that, you demon.
No, I think one of the things you do too, if you do share advice, you're just like, hey, something you never asked for, take it or leave it.
Yeah, like you didn't ask for it, but here it is.
Third party observation.
Well, and I think too, it's one of those of, I'm a firm believer in what works for my house and my family may work for you. That's why I'm sharing it, but it might not.
I think that's like the main basis of how we're still friends. If both of us are just like, hey, it works for you, it doesn't work for us.
Yeah, that's okay.
Doesn't mean anything about me or you. It just means your lifestyle doesn't align with mine all the time and vice versa.
And so when I share, it's more of, well, this is what worked for me, you can try it out. I don't know, and then if you're like, that's the biggest shit of an idea, then okay, I'll take that too. But it worked for me, so I don't have anything else for you.
I feel like there's only been a couple times where I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But we have that relationship. Not everybody can just be like, that's the stupidest I've ever heard. Stupidest thing I've ever heard to strangers.
You can't say it any other way. It has to be stupid. So common sources for unsolicited advice. Family. Do you get unsolicited? I mean, I did obviously when I had babies.
Like when I was having babies or now?
Or just any time with family was it?
No, people come to me for advice in my family.
That's nice.
And I don't mean that in like I'm like the Godfather kind of way.
You wish you were.
I wish. No, I feel like I'm often used as like a moderator.
Yeah. I mean, mean, you're a good one, I think.
I feel like I am very unbiased in a lot of things. And
Yeah.
even if I am biased, I can understand that
Yeah.
other people have points of views. But I feel like for some people who don't have that aspect, like it is very hard.
Yeah.
Like especially like right now, it's like just the state of current events. Like there's a lot of opinions,
For sure.
not even advice. And
Yeah.
so just filtering those of like, hey, people are mad. That doesn't mean they're mad at me or
Yeah.
pushing their opinions on me. They're just everybody's scared and freaked out. And sometimes that trickles into advice of other people are like pushing their triggers or their emotions or
Yeah.
what they went through on you, even though that may not necessarily be the path or the road that you end up on.
And that's what I think that my whole point is of
Yeah.
like how I move throughout the world with other people is knowing that it's having a very firm grasp of it's okay that it worked for me and it may not work for someone else.
Yeah.
Or even with just, and not to get into politics, but for the political things, you know, I have my beliefs and things like that, but I would never shame someone for having theirs.
Yeah.
It's more of, well, for how they live their life and their lifestyle, that's what works for them. So yeah, I understand why they'd be mad. I just don't live that kind of life, so I don't really have an opinion for that person, if that makes sense.
I think too of like consider the source. Like my mom always said like consider the source, and like if it's someone that, you know, we kind of talked about this, like you wouldn't trade lives with, like consider the source. Then
I have a hard time at staying angry at someone I would not transfer lives with.
Yeah.
I do. It's kind of an amazing thing because it makes it to where I'm not so angry all the time.
Well, it allows you to kind of step back and be like, okay, that person meant well. That person does not have emotional intelligence or appropriate boundaries, but they meant well. And their advice was coming from a place of love, not like, you know, aggression or anything like that. And I'm specifically thinking like, you know, like you said, your grandma and things like that. Like some of it is just like, okay, you got to let grandma say what grandma needs to say. Do with it what you will. Move about your day.
I will say it's still annoying as fuck. Like it's annoying. But having that awareness of, but hey, this is what worked for them.
But I guess too, like, you know, and having that awareness of like they have been and lived lives more than we have or have seen, and obviously things were different, and that has allowed us to have more conveniences in raising children than they had. So there are some things that like are just ingrained in them to comment on.
For sure.
But I mean, you know, then
well, and with family, you would hope that it actually comes from a good place.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, there's definitely people who have families that it's not a good place.
Yeah, like mine's iffy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so with friends, I don't really have this. I don't have like, because when I had my kids, I was out in the country with no neighbors really.
Well, and I also feel like now too, like you set yourself into a position where people come to you for advice.
Yeah.
So you're not really getting advice
No.
unless it's from me, which you ignore.
That is not true. I don't do it all the time. I take it in consideration and I just color different with it. I choose another marker. Okay. Chase. But strangers, I didn't really have any.
When I was pregnant, I had strangers. I mean, like the comments were unreal.
Like what?
People thought for sure I was having twins because I was so large and I was like 6 months pregnant.
What an asshole.
They were rude. I also like when I had my oldest, I was in retail. Like I worked for Eddie Bauer at the time and was like constantly in front of people. So I had like people used to touch my stomach without asking, but I was like not necessarily kind. Like I was kind of rude when I was pregnant because like people were just so touchy.
I just remembered something that I did when I was pregnant. It was really mean to somebody.
I told somebody was like, how far along are you? And I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's along those lines. So I walked into this ice cream store that I've never been to, but I really wanted to try it. And there was a 16-year-old girl behind the counter and everything. And I'd waited my entire pregnancy for this moment. And it's so unfortunate that it was a 16-year-old girl that it happened to. But she was like, oh, how far along are you? And I was like, I'm sorry. And she was like, oh my God. And I was like, I'm just trying to get ice cream.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my God, you're not. I was like, no, I'm totally pregnant. I'm sorry. I'm 6 months. She was like, you are a terrible person. And I was like, yeah, probably.
I had my feet swell. Like I had preeclampsia with my oldest.
Yeah.
And I could not find shoes that fit my legs and my ankles. Yeah. And I went into the shoe store at the mall that I worked at and tried to buy shoes. And like I was very visibly pregnant. I was probably much closer to like delivery. I would say like 8 months. like much closer.
Yeah.
And I was exhausted, tired, and I am literally on my feet 8 hours a day. This girl goes, "Are you having a girl?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I can tell because girls take your beauty." And I literally had to go home. I
Bitch.
cried my eyes out.
Bitch.
I was so swollen and so large.
Not okay.
Like my first baby was 10 pounds, 1 ounce. If you guys want any guess on how massive I was.
So glad that we were not friends during that
It
time.
hurt my
You know,
feelings
I
so
would have
bad.
gone and hunted her down. Like you
She was
really
young
would.
too. She was like
Yeah.
16,
Oh,
17, and I
man.
was just like, words hurt.
Oh, that's terrible. That
I
is
don't think
awful.
she meant it as an offense because
Yeah.
she like then was like, my mom had the same thing happen. Like she's gorgeous now, but it was done. Like it was done. It was
Oh,
out of her
no.
mouth. And I
Yeah.
was like, stop, you think I'm hideous.
Oh, God, love ya.
Oh, thank goodness I had a baby shortly after that because like I was done. I was so done. That was like the
Yeah.
get this baby out of me now.
For sure.
Like I'm so over everyone.
So another source is social media. I haven't really gotten advice unless I've asked for it.
Why? Because unsolicited criticism and advice can be
Yeah.
kind of hand in hand.
I've kind of been
like,
waiting for it for on our like in between the episodes. Like I've kind of been waiting for
people just say
to-
that to my face.
Oh, okay. All right, let's go. I got some unhealedness still in me. Let's go.
They're just like, you're so special. Like I get a lot of "you're so pretty," which is, you know, a
It's
favorite
like, bless her heart.
of
Yeah.
of like, you're adorable, but you're also dumb.
God, jeez. All right, so judgmental comments, eating habits. Yeah, so I'm more.
I get this a lot.
I think I'm more judgmental when it comes to my kids. Like, I don't let my kids have caffeine.
Oh, 100%. I'm with you on that one. With the exception of like, we're trying some things with our oldest ADHD. Instead of putting her on like pill stimulants, we are trying like low dose, like green tea. Like, and it's not something we're going to keep long term necessarily,
Yeah.
but it's like, it has like even how to medicate my child. It
Yeah.
has become a conversation as well.
Well, and I say no caffeine. I mean, like, I don't do Cokes. Like, they can
Yeah.
have Sprite, but like,
That's
I don't
not
do
even like that.
Cokes. I don't do pop. I don't do what is
This is-
soda.
Soda?
Yeah, you've said that before.
I said soda.
It's awful.
Pop is up north.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to say? Coke?
Coke. You're in the Southeast, ma'am.
But what if I want a Mountain Dew?
It's Coke.
That's a Pepsi product.
But then you say Mountain Dew. God. Jesus.
Talk about
Somebody
unsolicited advice.
needs unsolicited advice over here, obviously.
Wait, what were you saying before though? Because I definitely had a thought that went with
Well, no,
it.
like so.
Oh, eating habits.
Yeah, eating habits, and you know, I don't let them do that, and
You don't let them eat.
Well, no, I don't let them eat ever. They have no habits eating caffeine, but my co-parent does. It drives me insane.
Yeah.
But I've had to learn of like, hey, he has his reasons, and is it going to kill them? Probably not, but it is a good teaching tool for me later on for me to say, because I don't drink Coke. I don't even have it in my house, to be honest. And so she's not
a fizzy pop girl.
No. And
like, or fizzy water.
No,
And it's weird. I don't like fizzy water.
But it's a good, what I feel that my kids have kind of transitioned to anyways in the divorce is figuring out how they want to live their life. Meaning they're going to take some things from my house
and something from them.
Some things from dad's house, and leave some things from my house, leave some things from dad's house. So I kind of just look at it that way of being able to just woo-saw.
Yeah. My eating habits are not necessarily the eating habits I have for my kids, but for myself. Like I get a lot of self-proclaimed health people telling me how to eat with all my food allergies.
Yeah.
After I've spent thousands on doctors to already tell me.
Yeah.
That is a little hairpin frustrating for me still, where I'm just, oh yeah, no, sure, absolutely, I'll take that into consideration.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, you should try this, you should try this, you should try this. And it's like, do you know how many ingredients we have to read through?
Yeah. I mean, just ask.
Yeah.
You know, ask, like, are you looking for ideas?
Yeah.
You know, like,
because sometimes I'll come to you and be like, I'm sick of eating the same thing for 31 days.
So
like,
then I go and chat GPT and I'm like, hey, this is what she can't have. What can she have?
And like, you'll give me ideas on stuff where it's like, you know, there may be something in it that I don't eat that's like a meat or a sea fish, a seafood, a sea fish. That's what we call them now.
Yeah, see?
But it's easily removed and replaced with like
Sure.
a chicken or
Yeah.
a beef or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Or sea fish.
or sea fish. I can't do sea fish, y'all. I'm working my hardest on tuna and it's just not going down.
I want to try tuna. I want to try shark steak. I've heard that's amazing. I've never had it.
As in shark cooked like steak?
Yeah, like, and apparently it's like better than the actual steak. Like, it's supposed to be really good. I haven't tried it. I really want to though.
Okay.
No, it's supposed to be really good.
All right.
Oh, there you have it.
You see that, guys? I kept
Yeah.
my unsolicited advice to myself.
Oh, Judgy McJudgerson. All right, so another judgmental comment. So screen time.
Screen time is a big one, but I'm mean to myself about this one. Not even my kids' habits. My habits are just as bad. Like they're learning it from me.
Yeah, that one's hard because I beat myself up more on allowing them to have time. But here recently, I've made it more of like, hey, let's together as a family watch a movie, or like I said, we've started Reba, you know, and then it's phone down and all that kind of stuff. No phone during dinner for sure. But yeah, and I don't know. This is kind of a hard episode for me because I don't really receive unsolicited advice,
which is
so much anymore.
It's much more of us giving it to other people.
Yeah, probably. But I
maybe
always
tell us all the advice you would like us to stop giving.
Yeah, right. So discipline is another one. I don't ever comment on how to discipline. Oh, you should do this unless asked.
When my daughter was, I don't know how old she was, maybe let's say 4. I went to like Target with her. She had a meltdown, an absolute meltdown, and someone felt it was okay to come up and ask me if she was autistic. And then like I was very like still figuring out things as a mom that I was like, oh my gosh, is she like went down a rabbit hole?
That
like
was
it
your
threw
Google
me
search right there
into a hole.
Yeah.
And it was not helpful. She does not.
Yeah, that must have been hard and hurtful.
Yeah, people are very mean.
I actually, whenever I see a mom with kids that are having meltdowns and stuff like that,
I just assume it's their fault. Like, I don't assume it's her fault.
No, for sure. But I always like, if she makes eye contact with me, I always give her a big smile.
Yeah,
and
for
then,
sure.
And I'll
for
be like,
sure.
You're doing great.
For
like,
sure.
Just so you know, you're doing great.
This was like an older lady that was like.
That should know better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dick. It was horrible. But I'm with you. Like, especially at restaurants, like kids are losing it. Like, I'll try and make eye contact with them and like be silly or something. Like, just be helpful. And even if she did, you can still be helpful.
Yeah, but also too, what are you, a doctor? You're gonna start like helping me out here?
She
like
had a very teacher vibe. No, I think she just wanted me to know something was wrong.
Oh,
and I was like, thank you for the obvious observation.
Dick.
Milestones is a big one.
Yeah, I was giving myself unsolicited just judgment. So
maybe this should not be advice. It should be judgment.
Yeah, right. I mean, because my oldest, she was crawling at 6 months. She was walking before she was a year.
Yeah, same with my oldest.
My second
took her sweet time.
So I thought, oh my gosh, she's autistic. Oh my God, she's this, there's something wrong and like all this kind of stuff. And it's really, yes, granted, there are times where it's, hey, we need to check it out, but definitely just go by what your pediatrician says.
Yeah, my youngest was speech. She wasn't talking when she was supposed to. Yeah.
Like, but listen to what your pediatrician says.
Exactly.
Because everybody's going to have, well, my kid did this. Well, my kid did. Well, that's great, but this is not your kid. And it's a totally different person. It's a whole other human being. That has a different genetic makeup, different raising, different parents. Like, stop that type thing. I can't do it. No. So why people feel the need to offer advice?
Well, we kind of talked about that. Sometimes it's genuine from a place of love, of like, hey, you look like you need some help. Like, may I offer this?
Yeah, and sometimes people are just busybodies and don't have anything better to do.
Sometimes it's definitely like a projection.
For sure.
Of like, I need you to control your life because my life is out of control.
Yeah. Or feel empowered by kind of putting you down.
100%.
By the way, anybody who does that, just so you know, it's a very empty high that you get from that. And it just adds on to your sins.
It does.
Their own insecurities. They're just mean. Some people are just mean. Not everybody is
got your best interest.
Yeah, but not everybody been put here to
be pleasant,
be nice, and everything. They're literally here. You got to have the bitter with the sweet.
Sometimes they're a test you're supposed to survive.
That they're supposed to survive. But also they think that they know best. Some people do. Some people
And
think that
some
they
people
do.
have that about their identity as
Yeah.
well, of like they're just kind of a know-it-all.
Yeah.
But again,
Capricorns.
I feel like that is a up to you situation of where you take or leave it.
Mhm.
And then it's like, okay, so how do you respond to it then if that's someone that's really close to you? Like say your mom or your
Your Gemini showing and I need you to tuck it back
what do you
in. That's
mean?
what I say.
Oh, I was like, right now?
No, I just mean like I will literally say that to
Oh,
like my close like people
yeah.
where I'm like, "Hi, your Gemini
Oh,
showing. I need you to tuck
gotcha.
that back in. Thank you."
You're gonna explain to me what that even means.
It's awful.
I'm typically like a kill him with kindness. Like, thank you so much. And then like the third time I've had to kill you with kindness, I'll be a little more firm of like, hey, thanks. I appreciate your input, but my family and I are gonna do this and I need you to respect that. And if it bothers you, then maybe you need to reevaluate our relationship.
I think I'm a little bit more diabolical than you are.
Well,
'Cause
I'm assuming this is like a family member that you need to see at events
still
still.
more diabolical than you are.
I feel like you're much more friendly with scissors though.
Yeah, for sure. Because I would lean into it. I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, tell me more about that."
But again, like this would be like the third or fourth time.
Yeah, but no, tell me more about that. And your son over there who has an alcohol problem, is
Yeah.
that what you mean? Yeah, that's where so my third or fourth time my claws are coming out.
You
but
got your
you're
feelings hurt, and I'm about to hurt your feelings.
Yeah,
back.
yeah, for sure. I've been reining it in where I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, well, that's really interesting. And then when I have actually listened to people and what their reasoning are, more times than not, there's a conversation, like in the conversation, I think, oh, well, that's why they think it's a good idea. Oh, yeah, you know what?
Like if
Thank
you find out
you.
it's a genuine fear or concern for them because of a
Yeah,
situation
tell me more about
pertaining
that.
to them
Yeah, tell
specifically.
me more about that. I haven't experienced
Yeah.
that, but can you explain that to me?
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes that's what it is too, is that
Mhm.
they're giving unsolicited advice because they need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're just trying to start a conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
But again, like I think there are ways you can stand up for yourself without sinking to their level as well.
yeah,
But there's also, your way.
yeah, there is. But so, okay, turning criticism into empowerment instead of taking it personally, remind yourself you are doing what works best for your family. No one knows them like you do.
Yeah, and I think too, like once you're a brand new parent, I would take all the advice I could get just to pick and choose, like to make my own book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think I told you about that on like when we decided our parenting styles. Of like, I definitely took into account how my parents parented, but I also like watched a bunch of TV moms, like what, and I really like picked out what I wanted for myself as a mom, and kind of like, and so I feel like a lot of advice of like, it's this kind of the same concept of reading like what to expect when you're expecting of
Yeah,
like
I did that.
hey, let me like get a poll of like, and you can make it fun of like what's the craziest thing that happened to you while you were like, and most of it is going to involve poop when they're babies.
Yeah.
But like make it a fun, like you wouldn't believe what this happened, so that you also have like the lighthearted stories too. But I mean, like you're gonna need some advice.
Sure.
Like we're not meant to go through the world alone.
Well, I think it goes back to what we've always preached of like finding your village.
Yeah.
And that means having the people around you that give you advice based on your best interest, that know you well, that know how to come at you when, and because I think that that's really important, like knowing how to come at me about something, instead of just barking at me,
Oh, yeah.
I think that that's important.
Yeah.
But
I think too, it's an important part too, because like as well as within your circle, but also outside your circle. Because like just because the people in you, it's typically the people that you surround yourself with are similar to you.
yeah.
And sometimes that's the benefit and a detriment.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you need some outside views as well.
Yeah. Well, so half the time people are just projecting their own issues, which we said. Their judgment says more about them than it does about you. I mean, especially you first time moms.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Man, like
the more stuff you mess up and you still survive, you're gonna get a lot more confident about your choices, and then be like, you know what, I'll figure it out either way.
Yeah, like, but you're making your life, like, and that goes for everybody, like women and just people in general. Like you're making your life, and it's okay, and you're gonna mess up. You're gonna mess up, but you're also gonna do amazing things, and hopefully you are learning from the mess ups and things like that.
It's okay that
if not, then you're gonna repeat the lesson.
Yeah. And it's okay that you're absolutely terrified, because we
sure.
all were.
Oh yeah, and 100%.
Which again, like if you kind of collect advice too as well, like that makes you feel more confident.
Yeah.
Just hearing other people fail and their kids are still fine.
Yeah. filter the advice and take what is helpful and freaking leave the rest. Like,
Don't feel like you owe people. Yeah.
no, and don't allow somebody's voice to wreak havoc in your head. They know best, and don't do that to yourself.
And I think when you talked about social media earlier, like, again, that's not really advice, but we compare
For sure.
ourselves to other moms, other
There's so much
women,
information out there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, don't give yourself your own bad advice
Yeah.
of thinking you're supposed to live up to the expectations that fit in 90-second videos that are not even their real lives.
Absolutely. Well, so dealing with advice in the digital age. So let's see. Social media is a minefield of unsolicited advice. Post your kid without a jacket on outside in the winter, and it's on. Man, I wish
Or
somebody'd come at me about
a
that.
jacket in the car seats. People are livid about jackets in car seats.
Yeah. I do get people barking at me because my youngest will sit in the front seat.
Oh, because she's little.
Yeah, but she's the weight.
Height and
She's
weight
the,
requirement, yeah.
like, but people will still yell at me about, well, not yell at me, but they'll like have a snide remark, and I'm like, dude, you have sister trials at my house and tell me that you're not gonna let them swap.
Yeah.
So mom groups, some act as if their child is the next Olympic wonder and shame yours. I haven't experienced that in mom groups, and I used to actually be pretty heavy. I was on the nest.com, and I was really heavy in that, and that kind of branched out to Facebook. I had, I don't know, like 4 or 5 women that were spread all across the nation, and we were pregnant together. We like talked to each other every single day. We never met each other in person.
Oh, that's cute. I love that.
And yeah, and they never shamed me. I saw other moms get shamed.
I think I've definitely seen it. Like, if you go to sporting events, like, there's the expectation kid that like their job is to make this like it's their Olympic debut. Like, we've definitely seen stuff like that at our sporting events. But in general, I feel like everybody is much more like, my kid's weird, but we love him.
Yeah. Well, and going into this, I think that it is smart to strategize navigating it. So decide if you're going to ignore, block, address,
or if you're going to have the straight up like, thanks so much, like in the future, like maybe ask if I want your advice, or whatever your comeback is going to be.
Yeah, for sure. Curate your online space to focus on positivity and support. So that's another thing too. If you're in a mom group, or any group for that matter, and it's not filling you up, it's not enriching you, like, get out, man.
Or they're mean to you, or they tear down other people.
Like,
if you need people to be mean to each other, just get on Facebook at any point. You don't really have to like stay in places that you're not happy in.
And no one is a perfect parent. So the next time someone comes at you, know that you're the mom and you've got.
Absolutely.
So what's the worst unsolicited advice you've ever gotten? Tell us, because my brain.
I thought you were asking me, and I was like,
no. I think that I kind of blacked out. I think unsolicited, because I feel like I got a lot more.
I got unsolicited advice about my marriage pregnant. That was terrible advice.
Oh, like what?
Like right after the baby, that they expected me to like go back to like pleasing my husband and making sure he was okay. And I was like, okay, well, the joke's on them. I didn't have the mental capacity.
Yeah, there's that. I mean,
almost ended up in groupie socks. He was definitely taking care of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, just stuff like that. And again, it was definitely like older women that, and I feel like I'm hating on older women. I'm not, because like there were also so many that were so kind to me and so generous. And like one of them like made me like a full like church communion outfit, like knitted me, like it was so stunning. And
I had one that made me, she crocheted it. It was like a whole outfit, and she was a little pea in a pod like thing for her pictures, for her first pictures. And
I mean, but like in this instance, it was just of like, we popped those babies out and then we're back to making sandwiches, and it's just like, well, now they make you stay in the hospital 4 days, like
or over
also
a week.
My whole entire half of me was cut open.
I
think stuff like that, of just like people had well intentions, because she was like, you want to get right back into that marriage, like, you know, he's going to be with you when the baby's 18 and grown and out of the house, you got to maintain that. And it's just like, that is true, you're not wrong, but after I got a tiny human out, I don't think that's my largest concern.
For sure.
It's, why would you let us go home with her? without an adult.
Yeah, let me give you some unsolicited advice about you allowing this to happen.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I just flash back to the panic of them being like, "Okay, you're ready to go home," and all of us are like, "What?"
And looking back, like that was one thing about like my mom, because she was around when I had my youngest,
Mhm.
like after I had my youngest, and she did it very well. Where she was like, I was thinking this. She said,
Mhm.
what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Or I remember, things have changed since I was taking care of you.
Mhm.
She was like, but this is kind of what I did, and I always appreciated that. I appreciated that approach.
Yeah.
Instead of it being a, hey, we're going to do this, or hey, we're going to do that kind
Yeah.
of thing. So,
Or you need to do this or you need to do that. Yeah.
yeah. I
Or
mean,
I've already done it.
yeah. I mean, jeez,
Yeah.
people just stop it.
Yeah.
Support. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And if you think that it might be a little bit catty, move along. A brand new mom, like leave her
Yeah.
alone. Unless you're going to
Unless you're taking her dinner or
tell her she looks
holding her
pretty.
baby so she can shower.
She got all her beauty back.
Oh my gosh. It hurt my feelings.
I bet that hurt my feelings for you.
I literally I had no life in me and she took whatever,
Yeah.
the will to live was gone.
What an ick.
Yeah, it happens
So let us know what the worst unsolicited advice that you've ever gotten.
and how you dealt with it or didn't deal with it. And if it still makes you angry today, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, or how do you deal with it now? Or how do you go, like, what is your go-to on how you give advice?
Yeah.
Do that.
I just tell you.
Yeah.
You're much nicer about advice than I am. I don't even ask you if you want it. I'm just like, that was dumb.
Because I tend to go, I go deep, and I go
Yeah.
real deep real quick, and that's a little overwhelming for people, so I've kind of learned to
Sometimes I think too, I just need to complain for 5 seconds
Yeah.
and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And that would almost irritate me if you started
Oh,
giving me
yeah,
advice
for
in those
sure.
moments
Yeah.
where so we both are again, that's just communication with your friends and family
Yeah.
as well. Just we have what works, whereas hey, I just need to complain. And then you just kind of go along with it and you're like, oh yeah, no, I definitely think you should do that.
I don't know if you remember this, but I just had this flash in my head. Do you remember the movie The House Bunny? I made you watch it, where the Playboy bunny girl ends up being like the sorority house mother.
I got nothing.
Okay, well, I made you watch it. I know you've seen it.
Okay.
But the sorority girls, whenever they were dismissing people, they'd say, "So nice." And so, I don't know, maybe use that. When somebody, so nice.
So nice.
And then when they keep going, so nice. Yeah.
You're so
I don't know. I had
so
that.
nice.
So nice.
Anyway, well, it's been nice chatting with y'all.
It has. It's been a long week already still, but here we are, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.